Well, hello, America. Hello, hello, hello. Yeah. By the way, I'm Joanne Moretti, and my great co-host, Scott Ferrarello, is here with me, too. We appreciate you tuning in. Thank you very much. We have tons of news to share, man. Stuff is blowing up everywhere. And we're going to have some analysis and other important facts. But before we do, I have to first do a short disclaimer, and that just lets everybody know that what's said on this show is solely my responsibility and not that of our wonderful hosts or sponsors. The disclaimer goes like this. The comments made by hosts and or guest hosts or phone callers or chat commentators do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints, ideology, beliefs, or anything else. Also, this show is probably rated around PG-13. We don't hardcore cuss or anything, but, you know, some of the stuff is a little over your kids' heads, so you handle it. All right, let me open up Scott's microphone here, and we'll give him a proper introduction, and then we'll get this party started. Hey, Scott, ladies and gentlemen, Scott Ferrarello. How you doing, friend?
Hey, pretty good, Joanne. How about you?
Ah, good. So I want to tell everybody that 35,000 combat vets, most of them are Iraq and Afghanistan war veterans, have been denied VA health care enrollment due to, guess what, a computer error. Man, these people can't handle computers. Is there anybody up there who's literate with a computer? They can't build a website. They can't operate a computer. They can't keep hold of an email. Say it again, hon.
You know, it's like saying the dog ate my homework. It's a total lie, but it gives them enough, smoke screen to do whatever they want. So they tell these people, delete all those files you have on all the vets and say you lost them or there was a computer glitch. And nowadays with clouds and all these places that save these on servers, nothing gets deleted anyway. I know. Why don't you call the NSA? They got a copy of every veteran's record, especially veterans. They're at the front of the line.
No kidding. I was just going to say that because the document said that 35,093 combat vets who applied for health care aren't getting it because the VA system has erroneously flagged them as needing to submit a means test. Means they want to check out their income. First of all, like Scott said, they already know their income. It comes from them. Second of all, it doesn't matter if they're multimillionaires. If they're veterans, they get the health care. That's part of the deal that they signed on with. So this is a bogus reason.
Well, yeah,
they're supposed to get medical care. It doesn't matter how much.
They want to find out how they voted last election. They want to find out if they own guns.
Yeah, there was
a... Lois Lerner and all those got away with what they got away with. Sky's the limit now. Now you can be targeted for your political beliefs, for your Facebook posts, for what you own, and be denied things and services that everyone else gets.
Yep, religion, homeschooling, any of it. Vaccinations. They'll target you for anything. They'll even target their own, man, and they're brutal. But these veterans, it doesn't matter what their income is. They are entitled to medical care through the Veterans Administration. They're combat veterans. So this is BS. And as far as computers, man, these people are, what's wrong? They can't even handle a computer or an email or a BlackBerry or any of the rules that apply to any of that. You know, we're getting stiffed big time. And then they sent an email to active duty military. Wait till you hear this story. This is not just for the recruiters. This is for the USMC, all of them, the troopers. It says Fort Collins, Colorado. This is from AmmoLand. A friend on active duty sent me this today. It's an advisory email to active duty USMC troopers. That's active duty, it says. And it's got the email here. It says, if they're not shooting, do what they say and don't move. Only you can draw the line on what you will do or not do to preserve your life and the lives of others. If shooting starts, you need to make your own choice. Stay still and hope they don't shoot or run for an exit in a zigzag. This is not a recommendation to fight, but a choice to fight when there are no other options. This is dishonorable. It's sickening. insults your intelligence. The Marines are told it's okay to fight, but only after terrorists start shooting, and even then they may not fight effectively, and only terrorists get to be armed. The Marines are instructed to cooperatively do anything the terrorists demand until the moment they start shooting. I mean, when you wait till they start shooting, you waited too long.
Yeah, be a sitting duck, basically. Let yourself get murdered.
Mhm. It's okay to hope they don't murder you as you cower in a corner then, right? And did you see they put those sandbags up at the recruiting offices? And they're only at the desk. They sandbag their desks. But you can just walk around the sandbags and shoot somebody who's trying to hide behind them. What are they going to do? They still don't have a gun. What are they going to do, throw sandbags at them? That isn't going to help. Anyhow, his friend adds, I'm disgusted with what passes as leadership in our military today. From the foregoing, you can see that we are under the charge of cowardly group of uninformed politicians who may qualify as managers but are definitely not leaders. We have no respect for them personally or professionally, nor should you. Yeah, I'm really disgusted too. I can't even, I have no words to say about that article. They got to do everything the terrorist tells them until the point where the terrorist starts shooting, and then they can decide whether they're going to fight or run or look for something to hide behind. Who writes this crap?
Liberals, communists, people that have taken over our country, and it's turning it into some third world crap hole.
Yeah, well, you know, there's some people with stars and stripes and bars on them who should be in defiance
behind.
At this point.
Yeah.
Or behind bars for treason. Because you're going to let your men and women use those for rules of engagement?
Yeah.
You're planning on having any women and men left?
No, you know, the rules of engagement now are so ridiculous. And then, you know, look what happened to that Navy officer who shot that lunatic Muslim last time.
Mm-hmm.
They tried to prosecute him for being a hero. See, this is what happens in an upside down, lawless society run by demons. Okay?
You know, you're right.
Everything that makes any sense to us is illegal to them. And everything that is just an atrocity, that's the right thing to do now. See? You're supposed to wrap your mind around that weekly.
Yeah. In the meantime, the administration and the staffers who come up with this crap are shooting at their boyfriend.
Oh, well,
over a password.
Doesn't mean them.
Yeah, you can shoot your boyfriend, but you can't shoot a terrorist.
It's like Dianne Feinstein, you know. She come right out and said when she was threatened, she got herself a revolver because, boy, someone come at her, she's going to take them out first, she said. And in the same breath, but if I could have got the votes, I'd have said, turn them all in, America. You know, this is what I mean. It's insane.
And how could she?
The ruling class
rationalize that?
Because
if somebody's going to go
liberalism is a mental disorder. That's how.
Scott, if somebody's going to come, threaten you, threaten your life, threaten to kill you, do you really think they're planning on turning over their guns to the person they're threatening to kill?
She does.
Okay.
She said as soon as a bad guy with a gun sees that you're unarmed, he's gonna lay him down because that's just human nature. That's what she said. I know.
Well, the Chattanooga shooter blew that theory out the door.
Someone's got to be writing this dribble for them, and I don't know how they say it without laughing or with a straight face. Maybe they do like 5, takes or something, like actors do, on soap operas to get the line right. Because I don't know how you can say stuff that is a BS lie, and just with a straight face look someone right in the eye and say it.
Now, when they did that, you're right. When they did that with Feinstein, and she was holding that big publicity stunt that she had, and she had all the guns all laying on the table, every one of those guns were pointed at the audience. They were on the table, vertical instead of horizontal. If you had walked in front of that table, every one of those guns would have been pointing at you. She was behind the table. The guns were pointed away from her at the audience. Even when she picked up the gun, it had to be it was facing the audience before she pulled it up towards the air. When she picked it up off that table, I was like, "Oh my God, they got them laid out all wrong. They should be laying horizontal, side to side, not pointing at the whole audience." And this was a publicity stunt. This was set up. Didn't anybody in the whoever set it up in the crew, didn't they know that? No, I don't think liberals should have guns. They shoot their boyfriend, and they don't want anyone else to have a gun.
Well, that's what it is. That is the the ruling class, slave class mentality. Good for me, but not for thee. I want to be able to defend myself, but you're too stupid. You don't have the intelligence of a genius politician to be able to protect your own life.
Mm-hmm.
These people are so evil that they can try to take away your guns and release people out of prisons in foreign countries that want to kill you simultaneously and have no problem sleeping well that night or looking in the mirror the next morning.
Right. And my father had a gun my entire life. We all knew don't touch it. We all knew how to touch it, and then we're told not to touch it. But he figured that, kids are going to be sneaking around, and if any one of them picks it up, at least they should know how to handle it and respect it and everything. And then you tell them, I'll kill you if you touch it. But that gun was never fired by him. It was never aimed at anybody. And he had it my whole life. So he was a responsible man. He was a business owner. He carried money all the time, cash. As soon as he closed up his business, he'd have to go to the bank and put the money in the deposit box. He didn't get robbed, but he never fired that gun, never aimed it at anybody, ever. He wouldn't leave the house without it, though. So, yes, Americans are very responsible with their guns. It's the loose cannons. Like, look at that. Look at the kid that shot the cops last night with those 2 Glocks. Anybody think that he purchased those legally, did a background check, went through mental health counseling, any of that? No, he got those guns wherever he got those guns.
Whenever I had a gun and I knew there were kids in the house, whenever I had a gun and I knew there were kids in the house and I was leaving it behind, even if it was locked up, I had a trigger lock on it. Mm-hmm. And with a trigger lock, no one is going to fire that weapon.
Right.
It's so easy, and they don't, they're inexpensive. So it just drives me crazy when you read an article, he thought it was unloaded. Well, didn't you check? Why are you screwing with a gun if you didn't? The first thing you're supposed to do is make sure it isn't loaded. I mean, I knew that at 13.
Yeah. My father told us, you automatically assume every gun is loaded. And that's where you start. Might not be, but you are to assume, because he told us, if you find a gun in the street or, we lived right along the riverbank, and if you find a gun somebody threw over the bridge or something, you don't touch it. You assume it's loaded and you go get an adult. So, it's common sense. And if you teach your kids, you're not going to have these accidents and stuff. And if you're a responsible gun owner, when you take the gun and put it away, you lock it up, things like that. People, I don't have to tell anybody who's a gun owner how to do it. It's the idiots with these guns, and they don't even shoot it right. They put their arm out and they turn their hand sideways like they're some sort of a gangster.
Yeah, you can blame Mel Gibson for that because he started that whole thing on Lethal Weapon. That's where that began. And blacks picked that up, and they thought that was way cool, man. But, if you don't have a trigger lock, kids are going to be kids. I mean, my friend, his dad used to leave rifles and stuff up on a rack, no trigger locks. They weren't even invented yet. And we stole them, and went out in the back and was shooting cans off of a big tractor tire. And these bees kept zipping by our ears, you know. We couldn't figure out why these bees kept flying by our ears while we were shooting at this can. Well, later, you know, in my later years, I realized that those weren't bees zipping by my ears. Those were the bullets ricocheting off that tractor tire.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another thing that you see in the movies, you know, when people are escaping and the cops start shooting at the tires. That is probably a rare occasion that you would have any effect on a tire. The tires, first of all, are moving, so the centrifugal force of the motion, of the motion, was going to bounce the bullets off them anyhow. And you're going to get hit with your own bullet. So if you're going to shoot at cars, shoot at the window. Don't shoot at the tires. That's stupid. You know, but you're right. You're lucky you're not dead. And never throw bullets in a campfire either. That's also stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, I used to see a lot of dumb things, you know, growing up. I mean, you know, I worked at a park department, and the park manager, he'd be filling up a gas can with gas out of a pump with a cigarette in his mouth.
Wow, you know how many people I've seen smoking at gas pumps?
And I'm a little kid, and I would just start backing up because I knew that was not smart, you know. I mean, some people just don't have any common sense. But you don't ban gasoline because you have an idiot that don't know how to use it.
You're right, and that's a very good point. That boy that was shooting at the cops yesterday. Why should you lose your gun over it? Was your gun there? Were you there? Well, then every time something like this happens, they try to blame everybody that didn't do it and every gun that wasn't there. Stop that, too. Just tell them no. I wasn't there. It isn't my fault. You got a problem with the kid who did the shooting. You should probably take it up with him. It's, you know,
the powers that be know this. And that's why when the most minor gun crime happens or gun accident or anything, and all of a sudden they want to take away everybody's guns and more gun control, they're jumping on that bandwagon faster than you could say, you know, infringe on my rights. But they come out with 9 videos of slaughtering babies and selling their body parts, and you better not even think about defunding planned infanticide.
Yeah.
How dare you?
Oh, we got that coming up too, man. I'm sick over that. You know, and then like I started this gun thing with the crazy chick that shot her boyfriend who works at the White House. But in North Carolina, you had one of the most rabid gun control freak senators shot an intruder. And that guy, what's his name, Menendez out there, he shot at somebody too, didn't he? And those are the anti-gun freaks.
Oh, yeah, I know. How about that one Oriental guy? I forget what his name is. What was his name?
Yeah.
He just came out with, you know, big gun control. Big gun control pusher and everything, and then he gets busted. What doing? Selling guns.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what they do. They love being, you know, they're king of the hypocrites.
Yeah, and didn't one of Obama's aides get busted at the airport for having a loaded gun? They're not even smart enough to not put it in your carry-on luggage.
Look at Michael Moore.
Get off the guns,
you know.
Leave the guns alone.
Look at Michael Moore. Michael Moore says everybody's a coward, or white cowards for having a gun. And one of his armed bodyguards gets busted at the airport with an illegal gun. But see, that's okay because that's him, and he's got a gated community. He doesn't have to live with these criminals around these criminals, and he's got enough money to have armed security.
And at Baltimore, one of Geraldo's bodyguards had a gun, and he dropped the gun in front of the cops, and he got arrested. And they had to go through this whole thing saying, you know, he's a bodyguard, he works for this company, he's been hired by Fox to keep, you know, me safe and all of that. And the cops said, we don't care. We told everybody no guns at this. Or you're going to jail. It's a state of emergency. So he got taken off to the pokey. Hey, speaking of fighters and fighting and guns and stuff like that, Obama sent a team to fight ISIS. This is from the Conservative Tribune. A central component of Obama's strategy to contain and degrade the Islamic State group in Iraq and Syria is to train and equip moderate Syrian rebels to enter the fight. This program, we talked about it a number of times, how they're training these Free Syrian Army fighters. It says this program, ongoing for more than a year, has been an utter failure, with the Pentagon recently admitting that they had only trained a total of about 60 fighters. That's a far cry from their goal of 5,000 a year. Making matters worse, as soon as this crack team of 60 U.S. trained and equipped Syrian rebels were inserted into the fray, some were reportedly attacked and kidnapped immediately by the al-Nusra Front, the al-Qaeda affiliate in the Syrian war. And Arab allies in the region are reportedly viewing the failure of the U.S.-backed rebels as yet another example of how Obama's America has become an unreliable ally against the threat posed to the region by Iran and their Shiite proxies. So here he is. He's supposed to be training 5,000. He ends up with 60. And then he puts them in the battlefield, and they're immediately slaughtered, kidnapped, or split. It's 60 fighters. You're going to fight ISIS in Syria. And, of course, you got Assad. You're going to fight him, too. And Russia and Iran, they're behind Assad, so you got to fight them. The Arabs are all laughing at us. We're nothing but a bunch of hacks, according to the rest of the world.
Everybody knows the U.S. runs ISIS, and and they're using them right now to take down Assad. He's come right out and said he's gonna basically be air support for him. And you can call them Syrian rebels, and you can call them the Musketeers if you want.
Yes.
McCain was over there creating them in the first place.
I'm glad you said that, because you're right again. Obama the other day come out and said, well, eventually the Saudis are going to have to talk to the Iranians. They do have a common enemy, ISIS. And remember, we had talked about Obama was arming them and training them and dropping equipment off to them and accidentally doing airdrops to them and things like that. And we knew that he was doing it on purpose. That's his thing. So he admitted it the other day that they both have the same enemy. So he's funding them and put them in there to try to reshape the Middle East. And when they're all done with ISIS, of course, everybody's going to attack them and kill them. But right now they're serving a purpose. The Kurds, they are totally screwed. Obama let Turkey attack the Kurds, who were actually helping us and giving us coordinates on where ISIS were located so we could do airstrikes. But he let Erdogan in Turkey attack the Kurds so that Erdogan would let us fly sorties out of Turkey, out of our own military base, that we already have a treaty with them anyhow, and we could fly in and out all day, so we didn't need his permission. But Obama made it sound like, well, he's given us permission to use his airspace to fly in and out of our base, and we can do ISIS strikes. He did 7 strikes on ISIS and 200 on the Kurds. So who's trying to kill who? This is really bad, ladies and gentlemen. And he doesn't listen to our regular generals. He's got his own little thing that he does, his daily presidential briefings. They used to be given in person.
Everybody in there now is just a puppet, a yes man. All the good ones, all the patriotic ones, they all quit. They know what's happening. It's just a total dissemination of the military, just total treason, total, their enemy 1 second, your friend the next, just in disarray and chaos.
Yeah, we're at a serious constitutional crisis. The whole country is in chaos. We have treasonous officials running this government. Matter of fact, do you know that Hillary's top aide, Cheryl Mills, she came out and told a judge that has been subpoenaing these servers and emails and stuff, told him, no, my lawyer told me to destroy those emails. I'm going to destroy them Monday when I get back to work. This guy, Dan Calabrese, writes, so a judge asked the government to kindly ask her not to. Now, this can't be, can it? A Clinton aide blatantly destroying evidence in a criminal investigation. That would never happen, right? Well, not only is Cheryl Mills destroying emails she's supposed to be handing over, but the federal judge who issued the order is now sadly reduced to pleading with the Obama administration to please ask her not to. How do you think that's going to go? You know, it goes on. It says, in a letter sent to the U.S. State Department and just filed today with the U.S. federal judge Emmett G. Sullivan, the counsel for Cheryl Mills wrote, Ms. Mills does not believe that she has paper copies of potential records in her possession. Following our production on August 10, 2015, of the defense counsel version of the electronic records, we have instructed her to delete any and all electronic records in her possession. Well, that's a far stretch from a statement by Mills under penalty of perjury that she and her lawyer are planning to delete the emails. So anyhow, Judicial Watch made an emergency filing in Judge Sullivan's court to stop that. But they don't even have any enforcement capability. They got to ask Obama to say, please, pretty please, with a cherry on top, don't do that. And would you hand them over to the court who subpoenaed them? What is going on when a federal judge doesn't even have any jurisdiction over federal employees? What the hell?
It's a lawless society. That's the problem with it. When you're a country of men and not laws, they can all be corrupt and paid off, and there's no justice, there's no nothing.
Yeah, and then they said the reason that it's okay to delete those is because they don't have paper copies. So what's to stop you from pressing print? Oh, yeah, that's right. They don't know how to handle computers up there. They can't even get a VA appointment.
And everything's saved anyway somewhere. Nothing's deleted off the internet. Nothing's deleted electronically, ever.
And everybody who received those emails will have a copy, too. But, I mean, why are we allowing this? Shouldn't they all be in jail? Shouldn't those servers be in possession of an overseer or something, a judge? Who has any type of enforcement and authority over these people? Is there even a system that we use to deal with it? I'm sure Loretta Lynch would have some sort of
there is
input.
Not anymore. Well, they're all ringers. They're all friends.
Mm-hmm.
Justice Department is a joke. Justice Department is nothing but the muscle for the federal government. Crack down on that darn Gibson guitar factory, boy. Stop them from using wood they bought legally. But hey, let the abortion doctor hack up babies, and sell their eyeballs on the black market.
You're really upset about that.
Brag about it on film, he's got a Lamborghini payment.
Yeah, all you listeners and Scott, you want to know a little secret? I was told tomorrow, Tuesday, there will be another Planned Parenthood released video. And this one is supposed to be head and shoulders beyond what the other 5 were. There's a total of 12 of them. We've already had 5 released. So the 6th one is coming out tomorrow. So keep your eyes peeled for that. And we're going to do some more Planned Parenthood stuff later on in the show. Want to do some politics first, though?
Sure.
All right. You know how they are pushing Hillary and pushing, and she's not our front runner, but she's certainly the establishment's front runner in that DNC. And same with Bush, all right? He's not front runner in any of the polls by the people, but he's going to be the nominee. He's the front runner among the establishment and the officials in the RNC. We've been through this before. We've been through it from Ross Perot to, what was that guy's name that had the cars there? He runs every race. He was the transportation secretary or something. Not Vader. What does no?
I don't know.
Jesus, I just had it too. Anyhow, Ralph Nader. And like I said, Ross Perot and Ron
Secretary?
Paul. Yeah,
I never knew that.
Yeah, he runs all the time.
Why didn't you just say the freak that banned my Pink Panther flakes when I was 12?
Yeah, can you imagine banning something? Who needs any... Yeah, all right. Anyhow, before I go off on a tangent about that, they are treating Hillary like she is going to be coronated. And as a matter of fact, they're even using her daughter. The Washington Post hailed Chelsea as a polished, practiced princess.
Oh, that made me laugh, too. Princess
yeah, so we're going
of what?
We're going full monarch now?
I mean, you got a prince that looks like Count Dracula in England, and you got a princess that looks like, egg salad here.
Not shallow.
I said egg salad. I didn't say what I was thinking.
Okay. You see, Donald Trump's in a whole bunch of trouble for saying the word whatever. So we're not, you gotta watch it here now. But speaking of Fox, do you know who the 9th largest donor to the Clinton Foundation is?
Fox News.
Rupert Murdoch's News Corp.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was telling people back in 2012, these Fox News lovers, and I understand why they like them because, at least you have somebody that sort of is on your side and reports 25% fair news.
Mm-hmm.
I was telling them during 2012, they gave more money to Obama than they gave to Romney, and they gave more to him than they gave McCain in 2008.
Yep.
So what does that tell you? I mean, they already know who's going to win anyway.
Oh, yeah. Well, they know who their nominees are going to be. But aren't they the same people who bitched about Trump giving donations to people? Fox News Corp has been one of the top 10 largest donors to the Clintons for the better part of 2 decades. It says, to many, it seems contrary to intuition that Fox News could be one of the Clinton family's largest donors for the better part of 2 decades. Check your intuition at the door. It's true. According to Federal Elections Commission and Center for Responsive Political Data and 21st Century Fox News Corp, they've donated more than $3 million to the Clinton family accounts. Overall, this lands Fox as the Clinton family's 9th largest donor over the course of their political involvement. So we are being scammed. And this thing with Trump has become a reality show. Now, I don't know if it's helping Hillary, if it's helping Jeb, if it's helping Trump. I'm getting kind of over it now.
I know who it's helping. It is helping the Clintons. It is helping the Democrats pretty much. Because what you get is you get one guy who says all the things that the GOP voters would like all the candidates to sound like, okay? And you have other ones who think, well, he's probably not going to get elected because he's got no experience. This is his first shot out. He's this famous guy with his own TV shows and whatnot. And so you get lots of infighting with the GOP voters, and you can have a Goldwater type upset, splitting the vote or creating a third party. I mean, this is all good for Clintons and the Democrats.
Yeah, I'm thinking
and
that
your
you
buddy
could be
Ralph,
right.
Your buddy Ralph Nader did the same thing to the Democrats once. Remember that?
Yeah.
He
and
ran.
They knew that they had 24 million viewers, and they knew damn well that not all those viewers are Republicans. It's mathematically just unquestionable that they were not all Republicans. So you got all these viewers and all of those candidates up on the stage, and you ask questions like, would you run as an independent? Why do you hate fat women? Why do you say Mexico's sending criminals here? What evidence do you have of that? Tell us about your bankruptcies. You call people clowns and puppets. Not one other candidate was attacked like this. Even they went after them a little bit, but Nothing like
See,
that.
But you know what? Fox News has got to know that if you attack someone unfairly, it always has the opposite effect of what people think it was intended for. Because nobody likes to see someone unfairly attacked by the media, do they? See,
yeah.
I mean, I was gonna say before that debate. Number one, they're going to use Trump so they don't have to let Cruz, Rand Paul, or Walker say a word. Was Walker even there? Yeah.
Yeah,
so they won't have to,
and they forgot about
Cruz.
Cruz.
Won't have to. Yeah, so they won't have to let them talk very much. Okay. Number one, and number two, it'll boost Trump's numbers. And then down the road, they'll either run him out or he'll quit, and the GOP will be in complete disarray because they'll have been fighting over this Trump establishment thing for 6 months to a year.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, but nobody got to talk about what they were going to do. You got 1 minute to answer a question, and then you don't get called on again for 30 minutes like they did with Cruz. Then you have 10 candidates on the stage. The hosts used 32 minutes. They gave Trump 10 minutes, plus he got, the jumping ins and the attacks on him too. So that was another 4 minutes. The rest of them got 6 minutes or under total. How much you going to learn from a candidate in 6 minutes? All broken up at 1 minute intervals. And then there was a attack on Cruz, and he said, may I respond to that? And they said, well, you'll have time for that later, and they cut to break. So Cruz never even got to answer that much.
Yeah.
And over the weekend, Jared, who's
helps.
supposed to be in Martha's Vineyard, she popped in on Biden in South Carolina, and she was supporting him. She wants him to run for president. All right, she's supposed to be in Martha's Vineyard with Obama. He's been there since Friday. While much of the media, this is from Ulsterman, while much of the media continues to attempt yet another Trump is finished news cycle, Obama White House master of manipulations, Valerie Jarrett, is said to have dispatched a trusted operative to South Carolina for a private sit-down with Vice President Joe Biden. The subject of this meeting is clear. Jarrett wants Biden to challenge Hillary Clinton for the 2015 Democratic presidential nomination. Now, of course, Obama would want Biden in there, and Valerie Jarrett would, because he wouldn't even change the department heads. This would just be...
Well,
he wouldn't even change one of them.
They got a cookie cutter, with the CFR printed on the back of it, and that's what you're going to get. I don't care who gets in there. And if by some miracle they decided to do away with the electronic voting fraud machines this year, and have require voter ID and make sure that it was paper ballots and you couldn't vote 10 times each, well, guess what? Then they'd say, all right, Trump, you can go ahead and be president, but we're putting Jeb Bush in as your vice president, like it or not. And he'd have to go with it, just like they did Ronald Reagan.
That's a possibility.
You're not getting anything done, pal. The powers that be own you. The powers that be own George Soros. They're his little errand boy. So
true.
Just think about the money behind this. And they said 30 years ago, $250 million can buy you everybody in Washington.
Do you know Hillary has $2 billion in her war chest right now?
Yeah, so
that
$250 million
that buys a lot of offices.
Nowadays.
Yeah, really, millions.
It buys you everything.
Millions is just walking around money now.
The Megyn Kelly thing bothers me just because it's this seems to be the newest trend. Is you get really famous, you get a following, a huge following, and then just when you're at the peak of your popularity, you flip. And you see how many people you can take with you to the dark side. When Miley Cyrus was on that Hannah Montana, I told everybody, I said, you watch. In 3 years, she's going to turn into the biggest slut you have ever seen in your life. and they're quit saying that, Scott.
That
That's
broke my heart.
terrible. And look what happened.
That broke my heart.
I mean, she's like the spawn of Satan now, isn't she? That's what they
she
do.
even sticks her tongue out like a viper.
You know, you pretend like you're all this wholesome person, so you get all the best kids thinking you're great, and the parents are buying all her stuff because they think she's a terrific role model. And then, as soon as she turns into an adult, she just a polar opposite of what she used to be like.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand why they keep doing this. Bill O'Reilly's done the same thing. You thought for few years when he first came out, boy, this guy really actually cares. He's not one of these, flaming libtards, Well, look at him now. I mean, you won't even say the word socialist when it comes to Obama. He's been carrying the water for him since day one, just like everybody at Fox News.
You know why they won't say
including
socialist?
Sean
because,
Hannity.
Well, Bernie Sanders is actually a socialist, and he is right of them. They're full-blown communists. Because Bernie Sanders actually is more conservative than these people who call themselves liberals. They are flaming.
These people are left of Fidel Castro. They're left of Mao Zedong,
Bernie Sanders. Now, he had piles of followers. And the other day, the Black Lives Matter, little Miss Jonetta, she jumped up on the stage. She was chest bumping him. She was pushing him around. She put her hands on him. And they ended up, taking him off the stage because he was being roughed up. Now, Soros sent them.
Bernie?
Yeah. Bernie Sanders got roughed up.
Yeah, he was just standing back there letting him just hijack his event. I mean, that's pretty bad. But that had to be staged, too. Because you mean to tell me a presidential candidate doesn't have security up the wazoo? It just
that's a good
seems
point.
too easy for me.
But they're afraid.
If they can just get up there, take over. No,
but they're afraid to put their hands on a girl and pull her off that stage too. On the optics and everything. They got everybody over a barrel. They threaten them.
They're not afraid of anything. There was a black woman and her baby, and she was too close to the White House. Remember that? And the cops gunned her down and killed her.
With her baby in the car.
They're not too afraid of anything. Yeah, with the kid still in the car. That's what I mean. These things look like spontaneous events. I don't think they are. Just like Ferguson and everything else, they know this is going to happen. And Bernie looks like the good guy. Boy, he sit there and he took a back seat and let them go ahead and have their say because he likes black people.
Yeah, well, that's all they got is stuffy old white people running. Even Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders, Rain Man there, O'Malley, Lincoln Chafee. They really, Lincoln, who even knows who Lincoln Chafee is? He's running, and Webb, too, he's running. But you know what? The nurses' union. Jojo, if you're out there, all right, the nurses' union endorsed Bernie Sanders.
Oh, yeah. Ain't that nice?
Yep, National Nurses Union.
I saw that.
185,000-person union, and the largest group of nurses in the country endorsed Bernie Sanders at their national conference on Monday. I don't know.
Well, at least it wasn't Hitlery, right?
Right.
I mean, if I had to choose between, Bernie the mad scientist and Hitlery, I'd choose Bernie.
Oh, Hitlery. I thought you meant like Hitler-y, like Hitler-esque, because you should see what they're doing to Schumer.
That's my pet name for her.
Oh, all right.
Hitlery,
you see what they're doing to Schumer. Schumer come out against that Iran deal.
Oh, don't worry. He'll flip-flop faster than Marco Rubio at an illegal alien party, okay?
Yeah, well, Bill Press said, now this is, I'm going to tell you this is a flaming liberal article I have in front of me. I feel like I need a shower just holding it. But they are really tearing into Schumer. Now, the Hill put this out. It was written by a guy named Bill Press. Press is the host of the Bill Press Show on Free Speech TV and the author of the Obama Hate Machine. He was dogging everybody for hating on Obama. He writes, clearly by design, Senator Charles Schumer released a statement declaring his opposition to the Iran nuclear deal on Thursday night, while 24 million Americans and every single political reporter in America were watching the first GOP 2016 presidential debate. Schumer's a genius in media messaging. He knew what would happen, and it worked. Since then, news of that volcanic debate and Donald Trump's ugly post-debate comments about Megyn Kelly have almost totally eclipsed any discussion of Schumer's announcement. Big mistake. By ignoring Schumer's move, the media is missing one of the biggest political stories of the day. Charles Schumer has proven himself unworthy and ill-equipped to lead Senate Democrats. He's wrong on the policy of the Iran deal, and he's wrong on the politics. On the policy, Schumer does nothing more than repeat the long-repudiated fear about what might happen 10 years from now, made by Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. To me, Schumer echoed Netanyahu in his statement. After 10 years, if Iran is the same nation as it is today, we'll be worse off with this agreement than without it. Well, this guy writes that it's total nonsense, and who knows what the Middle East will be like, and who will be in power. 10 years is a long time, and he's going on about the enriched uranium and centrifuges and stuff. So when that article came out, I looked at the comments at the bottom. They are calling him Zion and filthy Jew swine, and they're just, pig, and tell that he should die and put him in the gas chambers and all kinds of stuff. Woo!
I can't tell you, I hate to say that I actually agree with those statements, because he is a piece of garbage. Not for that reason, but,
I got to tell you,
at least
it
they're
tells
getting
you,
the insult pretty good.
But it tells you the mindset. They will even destroy their own if they dare step off that plantation and think for themselves. Now, Chuck Schumer is Jewish. He comes from a predominant Jewish district in New York. If he does not go by what his constituents say, he won't be the senator anymore. They're withholding money from him because they don't want this deal with Iran. So now he has a choice. He can stay on the Democrat plantation and defy his constituents and lose his job, or he can go with the people that sent him there, even just on this issue, and keep his job. But he's going to have to fight every one of those Democrats to do it. They have gotten really down and dirty and filthy on that. And
he's got a lot of pull, okay? And he wants Harry Reid's job next time around. And
he's not getting it.
Just wait. He's just trying to up his bribery fee, okay?
Yeah,
that
and he tried not to upset the crazy.
If you let him.
Yeah, well, they got a lot of nerve. Man, I remember how they treated the Hillary supporters during the Obama-Hillary primary. They were vicious. That's where Puma came from. That means party unity, my ass. And there was a bunch of them. I met a lot of them over at Greta, as a matter of fact. And you wouldn't believe the terrible things that they were saying to those people who supported Hillary. Now they're going to need those people.
Yeah, I know. And now if you go against who they like, they will. They treat if you. I'm surprised he hasn't been indicted on something yet.
Yeah, I'm sure he will be. Or his secrets will come out, or there's going to be something that takes him out. He's getting slapped. Chuck Schumer, there's something coming his way. Because they're not going to let that stand. You dare step off that plantation and you must be destroyed. And it's so totalitarian and so Hitler-esque that I'm actually frightened at the mindset of how vicious and vile these people will be. They turn really fast, man.
They
really
are.
Fast. Ferguson. Here we go again. Now, this is so orchestrated that they're even wearing color-coded T-shirts now. We're talking about 50% unemployment rate in the black community. We're talking about entitlements and welfare payments and things like that. Who's got the money to outfit a couple of hundred people with T-shirts? Soros has the money, right?
Soros, yeah.
Right.
$30 million goes a long way. fueling a little operation like that.
Mhm.
Plus you'll screw half of them out of their minimum wage when it's all said and done.
Yeah. And they get screwed out of their entitlements, too, because if they're working for George Soros and they're making $15 an hour for their little protests that they're having, they're only working 4 hours. You'll see the buses roll in, and everybody gets out, they protest, and then in 4 hours, everybody gets back on the buses and they leave. Well, they're making $15 an hour for that. But it's not under the table. It's on the books. So they're making $60 a day for their protesting, out of which they probably get about 40 of it, 38 to 40 of it, because they got to pay taxes. And then because they're making money, they lose their food stamps, they lose their medical, they lose all their medical goes up and all that. So it's not doing them any favors, and they're not smart enough to realize it. These people are being used. I was watching the videos, and they have become more and more violent. There was a woman I saw. The protesters had gone across a highway, and they were all holding hands. I think it was Interstate 70. And they were holding hands. This one woman, she had a sick child or something. She tried to get through, and she was beeping and asking them, please, can I get through, can I get through? And they said no. So she inched up and inched up. One of them reached in and punched her right in the face. They all started attacking her car, so she stepped on the gas. They had an option at that point, move or be moved. She only went like a mile an hour, but she did not stop that vehicle until she was clear from them. Her vehicle's all damaged. She's got a black eye and a broken nose. But, I mean, that's what you do. You get on a highway and you just start punching out innocent people. I had wished with all my heart that everybody in every one of those vehicles that could not move got out and moved the protesters. There were a hell of a lot more people in those cars and trucks than there were on that highway. But everybody stayed in the car, except for the one lady who had an emergency and needed to get through, and she wasn't being told no. And then when she got punched out, she just said, okay, I'm in fear for my life. That's it. Move or be moved.
Run them over. I'd just stomp on the gas, and anybody in my way would be underneath the car.
And then, is George Soros going to take the responsibility for that? Is he going to pay for the insurance and the or a funeral or anything for anybody who gets run over? Of course not. He's not even going to take ownership of any of it, and neither will Obama. We told everybody that Bigfoot is a signal. Every time you see Bigfoot come up in national news, that's a signal. That means something is going to happen. Last week, we all passed the story around Bigfoot was spotted in North Carolina. And sure enough, over the weekend, Ferguson started lighting up. That was Bigfoot. And then, of course, Obama on Sunday came out and fanned the flames, and he was talking about the racial inequality and all of that. Let me tell you something, folks. There are no slaves in the United States. Haven't been for 150 years. There are no slave owners. They haven't been for 150 years. You are already free. You have been free for over 150 years. None of you are 150 years old, so knock it off. You're being scammed. All right? You're being suckered into hating fellow Americans, so you're not hating the people that are actually causing the problems. Look at what's going on in Ferguson, and you think you're serious here now. You got this revolution going, and it's all against the cops, right, and against white people. Well, the cops. Do you think those cops made the laws? You think they made all those statutes? You think that they are the ones imposing all these fines and all this criminalization? And you can get a parking ticket. You don't have any money. You're broke, so you don't pay the ticket. The next thing you know, it's accruing interest, compounded daily, and you still don't pay it. You didn't pay the first ticket. You don't have the money. Well, you're going to get the money for all the extra fines. Pretty soon it becomes a court case. Well, you didn't have any money to pay the ticket and the fines. You certainly don't have the money today to go to court, so you don't go to court. Now you have a failure to appear. That's a felony. So you went from having a ticket, a traffic ticket, to being a felon. That's over-criminalizing people. You can break 3 laws going to the mailbox. You think the cops made those laws? Of course they didn't. They're just the jerks going out there enforcing it. And they have some explaining to do too, absolutely. I'm not justifying any of it. Not the cops, not the protesters. I'm not justifying it. I'm observing. And what I'm seeing is everybody's being scammed. You're all hating on each other. and you're letting the real culprits go. And do you think these politicians give a damn about you or your parking ticket? Or if a cop shoots one of you? Or if you shoot a cop? They don't care about that. That just helps them even more. The more you do it, the more you act up, and the more headlines it gets, the better off they are. They can just hide right in plain sight. Because now you're all mad at each other. It's just stupid. And with George Soros, we've told you about him. We've told you how radical he is. We've told you how he is behind every one of these things. When you look everything up, from Occupy to the overthrow in the Ukraine, there's the usual suspects. And, of course, in the background, you got the Lisa Fithians and the Bill Ayerses and the Bernadine Dorns and the Samantha Powers and Cass Sunstein and Obama, that whole crew. And you have to include Obama in it. What do you think? He didn't know these people? They were already in place when he took office. They made him. He didn't appoint them. They made him. They nurtured him. They groomed him. He was a community organizer. What do you think? He wasn't working for Soros? Of course he was. Just like D-Ray's working for Soros. So was Obama. So you can't excuse him from the Jeremiah Wrights and the Farrakhan's and the Bill Ayerses. They're all one and the same. You know, and then you got this woman who has an emergency on a highway. She pays taxes. She has every right to use that highway. Pedestrians, bicycles, and horses are excluded from using it. But they were the pedestrians punching her face in when she was legally going about her business in a legally registered car on a public highway. And her liberty was interfered with. Now, you have all the rights in the world to your own liberty. You have a whole Bill of Rights, a whole Constitution. What you don't have is the right to interfere in other people's liberty. And that's what's going on here. So now, when the oppressed becomes the oppressor, they lose the claim to being a victim. Then, you got crazy people all over the place. You got one kid who opened fire on the cops. He ended up getting shot. I blame that solely on Soros and Obama, too, and Holder. He wouldn't have been there, and there wouldn't have been the mob mentality. But that boy had pictures of himself with that pair of Glocks all over the Facebook and the Twitter and the, Snapchats and those things, every bit of social media. The mother of Michael Brown put those little smiley face icons in the comment section under the pictures of the boy with the gun. Is that what a normal full-grown woman does? You put smiley faces on a picture of a young man flashing guns on social media. She didn't pick up the phone and call him or his parents and say, tell that idiot take those pictures off there. No, she put smiley faces on there, encouraging this. So I put it on her lap, too. She's supposed to be a full-grown woman, an adult.
The gang thug culture is now all I really have to be proud of.
Mm-hmm. And a little more on the Bigfoot, Ferguson. Oath Keepers. 4 Oath Keepers showed up. Yes, they had bulletproof vests on. They obviously needed them. Did you see the shooting? Yes, they were armed. That's legal. They were legal guns, legal weapons. But everybody freaks out when they see a gun. Like he's going to be there to shoot him. The New Black Panthers also had a rally, armed rally. They went to the jailhouse over in Ferguson. And they all had long rifles, too. Nobody got shot. And with the Oath Keepers, nobody got shot by them either. The New Black Panthers were there threatening people. The Oath Keepers were there protecting people. I don't know who knows anything about Oath Keepers, but let me tell you something. They are not the bad guys, just the opposite. They're the good guys. They would defend everybody's rights, the protesters, the cops, and their own. Okay? They won't let an oppressive regime come down on those protesters any more than they're going to let oppressive protesters come down on those cops. And they'll defend themselves. They have every right to do that. But they are not dangerous. They are not scary. But because you saw a gun, you fell for the emotional crap. Oh, my God, he's got a gun. yeah, he didn't aim it at anybody. He didn't shoot it, and he's trained how to control that gun. Now, the gun control thing is just brainwashing. Eric Holder said he was going to do that. He was going to brainwash you out of your guns, just like they did with the cigarettes and the trans fat.
Sure did.
Well, that's what's going on.
Shortly after he was put in there, that's when kids started being expelled for biting a Pop-Tart in the shape of an L that looked like a gun. I mean, that's the kind of lunacy we're living under now.
Exactly. That's exactly a good example there, Scott. A little kid bit a Pop-Tart in the shape of a gun, and everybody freaks out. Would you think it was going to go off? Somebody going to get hurt with the Pop-Tart? What's the most that could happen, a jelly stain?
Well, a bullet of that hot cinnamon filling really smarts.
Yeah, so does one made out of ice.
They're insane,
They are
people are insane. They're hypocrite liars who do the most insane things, and they call it normal. And everything normal to them, they want it banned or outlawed.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's how you know we're not in America anymore. It's not our country anymore. It's been taken over. Because when good is evil and evil is good, and everything you grew up believing now is, is wrong and illegal, when the rules of engagement in war is, you got to wait until your opponent, your enemy misses you 12 times before you can fire back. I mean, come on. What more do you need?
Exactly.
What more do you need?
It's absolute insanity. It's to the point where you're right, about the active duty, too. They got an email the other day that they can run and hide, they can cooperate as long as the person's not shooting at them. So if somebody comes up to you with a gun and you're in the military, you have to cooperate with what they tell you to do. That's surrender, ladies and gentlemen. They're telling our military to surrender to
surrender
criminals.
And be cowards.
Yeah.
That's what they're teaching the military now. Surrender and be cowards. That is the new status quo.
Yeah. It says here, if shooting starts, you need to make your own choice. Stay still and hope they don't shoot or run for an exit in a zigzag. What do you think, you're running from an alligator? You got a zigzag? They're telling our armed services to run.
Yeah, and they're not even armed
or
services
cooperate.
Because, when they're over here on our own military bases, they can't have arms. There are unarmed services.
Right.
That usually get weapons without any bullets when they're overseas.
Exactly. Their hands are tied, but they're telling them to run in a zigzag. That's the advice you give to somebody who's getting shot at? Your armed services?
United States casualties went up by about 85% since President S. for Brains got put in there, and he changed those rules of engagement. Mm-hmm. Now he's changing them again, and it's going to be 95%. And it's the only way, the only way we can really be beaten is if you stack the deck against, our own people.
Yeah.
And, lowering the standards to let women be in the special forces and gays and transvestites and whatnot. I mean, the bottom line is when you have to lower the standards to get into these special fighting units, you're lowering the
capabilities, the effectiveness.
Yeah, right. The effectiveness of the whole unit.
Right.
Which is the plan.
Exactly.
You put someone like Chuck Hagel in there to butcher, the military budget, and so you have to beg for rides on ships from other countries, and you have Germans, ordering your troops around, and the Iranians sharing a base with you. I mean, that's just insanity.
Yep.
And none of these generals say a word because, they're all just handpicked and put in there, incompetent. And all the good ones had to either resign or they were fired or purged.
Yeah. I got another thing here from the Sons of Liberty, too. It says that the Obama administration has now given an invitation to jihadists to join the military forces in the Middle East to be trained by U.S. troops so they can learn how to fight against Assad. Yeah, you know what happened to the last time we were training jihadists, right? They turned the guns on our soldiers. And then it says the first result seems to be that the Obama administration will offer no significant upgrades other than the 3,000 U.S. troops already in Iraq. So the ones that are there, now they're going to get a whole bunch of jihadis landed on them so they can train them. So they were at least isolated from the jihadis. Now they're opening the gates and letting them in and leaving our 3,000 there, allegedly to train them. How long do you think those 3,000 are going to last? I shudder at the thought of it. All right, and it says he announced last week that he would add a few hundred more military advisors, but Gulf Arabs will supply the fighting forces. In return, those countries will acquiesce to the U.S.-Iran nuclear agreement. So there you go.
Yeah.
He's sacrificing 3,000 U.S. troops. He's handing them over to the jihadis as long as their countries go along with his Iran nuclear deal, which we'll get into soon. But
old Kissinger has got to be sitting back just laughing his fat butt off, because this is the equivalent of having a president during World War II secretly have all these Nazis in his administration to be pro-Nazi, to make it so you can't say that the Nazis are Nazis because that's racist or sexist or something. I could just go on and on and on and on and on. You can't even call a spade a spade. You can't even name what your enemy is and who they are, or profile them because they are the enemy.
Yeah, we have to be sensitive to the enemy.
It's like, in your face treason every day, 24 hours a day.
Mhm. Yeah, you know what else is racist now?
More people are worried about Megyn Kelly than they are anything else.
Really?
Who cares?
You know what I saw? Band-Aids are racist.
Band-Aids
are racist.
Well,
are you kidding me?
They're pink colored, you see. That's
the base.
Assuming that everybody has got pink flesh, Joanne.
Well,
That's
we got
terrible.
blue ones, we got SpongeBob ones, we got Spider-Man ones. Come on.
No yellow SpongeBob ones or blue Batman ones. Now they're all Band-Aid brand white bread.
Yeah,
honky color.
Another thing they're making a big mistake with and calling it racist is that POW flag. They said it's racist against the North Vietnamese. Who gives a damn? No, it's not racist. It's a memorial for American soldiers and Allied soldiers who are still missing in action and have not been accounted for yet. Hence, POW MIA. That doesn't say white POWs MIAs. It says POW MIA. I think that's a fight they're not going to win. If you go up to a veteran's house and you take his POW flag off of his flagpole and you get your ass kicked, I don't want to hear any crying. You know up front that that is a fraudulent claim and you are perpetrating the fraud, not the veteran. So if you get your butt kicked, you own it. Sorry, I have no tears for that. Now, another thing, 35,000 combat veterans were denied health care enrollment, too. They said it was a computer error. These people got the worst problems with computers. Look at Hillary.
Oh, yeah.
Look at Obamacare. Look at the IRS.
Well, it's the new technical version of my dog ate my homework.
Yeah, the dog ate the homework. 35,000 vets.
My emails got lost. Really? How could they do that? They're all saved on multiple different servers, including the NSA.
Mhm.
But they rely on people's ignorance, and if Brian Williams tells you it's happening, then it must be.
Yeah. AstroTurf says, correction, Valerie Jarrett made the changes. I don't think Obama does jack. She's right, Obama doesn't do jack. And she's right, Valerie probably made the changes, but who told her what changes to make? She's his handler. Who's her handler?
Well, Soros, and then above him, then you get Kissinger and the Council of Foreign Relations. And I mean, it all goes back to, Kissinger's been in there since the Nixon administration. Think about that.
Yeah, he's been there since the founding.
Yeah, he was there before dirt was invented. He was trying to screw the dinosaurs out of,
Yeah. Yeah, I know. He was dodging dinosaurs when he was a little kid. Let's get back to Hillary for a second, because this email thing is heating up, and there's a couple of things that have been revealed that actually are overlooked unless you know what you're looking for. On her emails, there's top secret information that's in the encryption. If you see the letters SI in the address from the email, that means that's for special intelligence. That means it's top secret. Also, there's another one. It's called TK. That means Talent Keyhole. That stands for the nation's military satellites and their production of classified imagery. All right, so that's where the geospatial comes in. They're talking about satellites here. When those emails go through that secure server, they're on that secure satellite system, and they bounce back to the recipient. They go from the sender to the recipient by way of that satellite. And it's a secure system. If you tried to send an email outside that system, the system will block you. So somebody physically had to go into the Situation Room. They had to leave all their stuff outside. They had to download these emails and then take them from there to an unsecure system to send them to Hillary's system. So there was a middle person in there. Also, with these top secret emails and that address, that might be a portal into how all those other hacks happened. She may have given them the access. By reading her email with that encryption on it, they can track it back through the satellite to the sender. So now, whoever's hacking Hillary's email has found a pathway into the satellite and back to the CIA or the NSA or whoever that email came from.
Mm-hmm. Well,
she opened the door.
I just posted a story because the headline is Hillary Clinton requested book with tips on how to delete something so it stays deleted from Breitbart. That's hilarious.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, she did. She wanted to know how to do it. It looks like we're talking about the server. Well, there's actually two servers. The first server was the one that Bill had, for the foundation and all that. It was too small.
For his porn?
Probably, and for the foundation, but it was too small.
Oh, I see.
So she bought another.
It was too small. He filled it up real quick.
Yeah, he loaded it up all right. Well, anyhow, so she needed an IT-based system. She bought another system, and that came with an IT person. It was installed in the basement. But it's connected to this security company called Platte. The FBI, Platte River. The FBI went to Platte River, and now they've taken servers from there because her servers are wiped completely clean. So now they're taking the servers from Platte River, and they have every right to do it because of the top secret nature of those emails. That is the mishandling, and in that those emails are in possession of people who do not have top security clearance like Platte River. So now she's taken top secret emails, and not only are they around in her server subject to possibly being hacked, but the people who run the security company, they have access to those emails too. If they wanted to just go on a computer in their office and say, okay, let's see what's going through here, they would have access to those emails, and they certainly don't have top secret clearance. What a mess. And here's this woman telling people today, don't panic. She wrote a letter to her supporters, don't panic. Everything's fine. Now, that brings us to Loretta Lynch. Loretta Lynch, boy, is she in a pickle. She has no good choices. They wouldn't have put her in there if she wasn't loyal to the administration. But we don't know if the administration and Hillary are loyal to each other. Loretta Lynch already had a run-in with Hillary years and years and years ago. But now, if she ever wants to be a Supreme Court justice, she better not make a mistake on this. Hillary's the front runner in the DNC, and they're waiting for her to fall, and they're going to throw Joe Biden in there like he has a better chance than Bernie Sanders or something. But he's not going to jump in until she falls, and I'm expecting her to fall or drop out any minute. I'll be surprised if she makes it another week. I think she's all done.
I think maybe this could be a setup just to show people how untouchable she really is. She got away with murder, literally.
Oh, she'll get away with this too. But she won't be president.
They just like to rub this in your face to let all of us peasants know that, hey, there are two sets of rules out there. One's for us and one's for you. You can't collect rainwater on your property or you go to jail. But we can do whatever we want. Her husband was caught on film at a billionaire's island called Pedophile Island. He's on tape, and nobody says a word about it. Jon Stewart do a piece on that before he leaves? I doubt it.
No, he's doing a couple of things on Bush and Trump and whatever.
Yeah.
Back to the
White House.
Where do you
on his way to the White House for another luncheon.
Where do you see this going with her? I'm sure she's going to slow walk it because she's terrified. But she'll either face the wrath of Hillary or the wrath of Obama, or as Scott just said, this thing is a setup. But her career will be over. She will never, if she doesn't do the right thing, she'll never be a Supreme Court justice.
Yeah, she doesn't need a career. I don't even think she wants to do anything anymore. She hasn't driven in 20 years. She's got, 24-hour limo and Secret Service protection still, probably.
For life, yeah.
Former First Lady. She's got, millions of dollars coming at her, what? And, what does she want a job for? You'd have to be nuts.
Oh, yeah, you'd have to be nuts, but that's not just any job. You see how much she was running a shadow government just by being in control of the State Department. Imagine if she has the presidential seal.
What was she doing there? She wasn't doing anything there either. Kerry was busy making deals with Iran years before he even got appointed.
Astro says Loretta Lynch should get a food taster. Yeah, because if she...
Are you kidding? You know what? She still hasn't done anything that Eric Holder has done yet. His first day out of the gate, he come out and called Americans nothing but cowards and racists and everything else. And I thought, oh man, if this guy will come out and say something like that right out of the gate, he's just going to be the biggest nightmare you've ever seen in your life.
Well, that's the thing. They tell us. They always tell us the agenda. He came out and told us this is going to be a race-based agenda. And for the last 7 years, we have been fed a steady diet of race and how rotten white people are and how mistreated black people are. And please, for 7 years, that's all we got to talk about, unless we talked about sex and sexuality and contraceptions and abortions, which, race and sex, race and sex, race and sex. That's all they think about. No one was thinking about the budget or the debt or Obamacare. They shoved that down your throat because of their loyalty to this regime. Nobody knew what was in that Obamacare, but the left, boy, they sure fought for it until they ended up having to pay for it. But we're going to get into that, too. Fox ended up being the ninth largest donor to the families, the Clinton Foundation family deal there. So
of course.
I don't think, and they got tons of money. They'll be able to fight this lawsuit. I think we're getting stiffed. Donald Trump was on Hannity last night. He said he was disappointed with our country's leaders. He was actually pretty mellow. He wasn't his usual bombastic, belligerent self.
You know, that's such an understatement.
Yeah.
That's such an understatement. You know, if I could pick a candidate or write his script, he'd make Trump look like, you know, the furthest left-wing pundit you ever saw in your life.
Well,
I'd be coming out saying, I'm building a wall of China around America. I'm putting snipers on the wall. No one's getting back in. We're going to be taking all the resources we're not sending to foreign countries anymore and putting that in border security and busing and planing these people out. I don't care if I got to dump them on Jekyll Island.
It would be nice to have a wall, but, you know, this regime, they might be trying to wall us in so we can't escape.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we better be careful of that.
Well, they can take your passport away without any reason, any trial, any charges, anything. They can just say, well, we don't want you to go anywhere anymore.
And 48% of the illegals that are here came in by air and overstayed visas, too. Jeb Bush had his little run-in with Black Lives Matter, same as Bernie Sanders did.
Yes,
former governor of Florida. He was holding.
Got to be another staged event because they're
buddies.
Of
course, it was in Las Vegas.
You know, all they got to do is call their buddy George and say, hey, George, you want to send out some of your troops? Yeah, which ones do you want? You want Occupy? You want Black Lives Matter? Who do you want?
Well, I figure we could. It would be easy to figure out who sent them in Las Vegas. Isn't that Harry Reid's turf? Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Well, he ended up leaving the stage. They were chanting this, you know, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter, and he left without making his final statement.
Well,
no.
Good.
Trump said if that happens,
nicer guy.
Trump said that won't happen at a Trump event. So now they're taking it as a challenge. So I'm sure the next Trump event they're going to be there. But I got a problem with this too. Trump said that, you know, it might not even be his security that throws him off the stage. So he was saying he'll throw them off the stage. And, you know, I don't know. He's a big boy. I don't think that they really want to get in a fist fight with Trump. But can you imagine the fallout from that? If they get launched off the stage or if Trump punches one of them out, that will trigger the race war. Because then they're going to see it as a mission. Sure. And then the people in the audience are going to, you know, go after them too. And then the next thing you know, it's going to be all white people are horrible, and we got to fight this race war. And Farrakhan will get his million-man march for October 10th. Every bit of it is a setup. Eric Holder told us about it first time out of the gate, right?
I've been hearing this race war thing since the Manson family got arrested. You know, who knows? They're all controlled. When they drop the hammer, that's when they're gonna, you know, stage all kinds of things. And they'll get away with it because they do it all the time. 9/11, Boston, you know, all these school shootings, you know, Sandy hoax, all this. It's all ridiculous, you know. They pretty much come out and admit it, you know, half of it's fabricated. They have
and right before every one of those was a Bigfoot sighting.
Yeah, they have. Yeah, well, see now, I haven't really paid attention to that aspect of it. I thought when they talked about Bigfoot sighting, they meant the First Lady was visiting on vacation.
That's what AstroTurf thought too. She put it in the chat room. I thought they were talking about mooch. No, Bigfoot is a signal, and it precedes every one of these major events, like the Chattanooga shooting, the Charleston shooting, the Boston bombing, the Oklahoma beheading, this Ferguson thing. And again, this Ferguson thing, the Baltimore thing. The Baltimore thing is heating up, too, because Mosby now is being charged with obstruction of justice. That's what the cops' lawyers are trying to try to get on her because she is not giving them evidence because it's exculpatory. And there's some other things that they had wanted, communications between her and the administration and her and Cummings, and she's not getting off that information, so they're trying to bring that to court now. The cops are getting railroaded in that one. Hey, you guys know about the North American Union? You ever hear of it?
Oh, unfortunately, yeah. That's what we are now. Didn't you know that?
Yeah. I'm seeing it now.
General Petraeus said so 2 years ago.
Yep. Well, this North American Union, it's a whole template. It was written by a Goldman Sachs employee who's a member of the Council on Foreign Relations. She had a lot of help with this through the Council of Foreign Relations, too. And it has the entire template on how we're going to make this North American Union from dissolving our borders to going to a single currency. This woman is very, very bright, and like I said, she wrote the plan, and the Council on Foreign Relations is all pleased about it and stuff. I want to tell you her name. Her name is Heidi Cruz. She's married to Senator Ted Cruz. She works for Goldman Sachs. She's a big shot. She would be the one who would be implementing the single currency through Goldman Sachs, through the Federal Reserve. The North American Union is a plan that actually mirrors the implementation and the timeline of the European Union. So when you see a candidate coming down from Canada and a lot of illegals coming up from Mexico and the Americas, well, you might be wondering if that's North American Union. And then you see all these deals we have with the NAFTA, and now we have new deals with Mexico, and, they're building that deep water port. And I'm not concerned about Cruz, but I am concerned about Cruz because of his wife. And, what better way to represent the North American Union if he came down from Canada and the immigrants are coming up from Mexico? There's your union right there, and it's all coming to place. Now, I absolutely love Ted Cruz. He has his bona fides for being a conservative are impeccable. I looked at everything, and he's clean. But is that part of it?
Game, but how much influence does his wife have over him?
Right. Yeah, I'm worried about that.
How did he get in that position? I mean, he's like, more and more. Everybody is controlled opposition, just like Fox News has been controlled media opposition. They made you believe for years and years that they were the opposite of MSNBC and CNN.
Right.
And behind the scenes, you find out they're giving more money to the Democrats and the Republicans. They're doing everything you didn't think they would be doing.
Right.
They fire people like Judge, Napolitano for just speaking the truth. That speech he had about, what if it doesn't make a difference who you vote for? What if they're both the exact same, and no matter who you vote for, the agenda keeps going forward? Well, you see, that's the truth.
Yes.
And you can't have the truth in state-run media. That was too much truth for Fox News to deal with. So they fire him off of his highly rated show. They bring him back as a pundit to talk about certain issues once in a while. But if I would have been him, I would have said, F you, I'm not coming back.
Yeah. Astro's in the chat room. She says, didn't she hear that Heidi Cruz resigned? Or was it another candidate's wife with a cush job? No, she did. She resigned from Goldman Sachs and, other things that she was working on. They have to do that for the appearance in the
for appearances
election. But she resigned just like Hillary resigned from the Clinton Foundation.
Yeah,
that never happened either. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about green fuel. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go.
You can finish your point.
I was just going to say, Jeb's going to, resign from that fund, that organization that was funding Planned Parenthood too.
Yes.
Doesn't
Bloomberg
mean he's
Enterprise.
Stop doing it. Just this is drawing too much heat my way. I better look like I'm leaving because whatever.
Yeah, that was the Bloomberg Foundation there. Hey, while we're on this with the Obama and the Clinton Foundation, and the donors, how many times have we talked about the green loans and grants and how they were all a scam and all the kickbacks and the grease jobs for the politicians and the cronyism?
Money laundering, yep.
Well, Al Meyer over at the Washington Free Beacon put this article out today. Obama Clinton Foundation donors sold green fuel to the military for $149 per gallon, We also talked about the algae, by the way. San Francisco Solazyme also received millions in stimulus funds from the Department of Energy. The CEO and board directors of Solazyme, who was one of the companies we investigated, a company the military paid $149 per gallon for alternative fuel, have donated more than $300,000 to Democratic candidates and committees, according to the Washington Free Beacon analysis. Recipients of significant donations included the Obama Victory Fund, the Democratic National Committee. Additionally, Solazyme donated between $100,000 and $250,000 to the Bill, Hillary, and Chelsea Clinton Foundation. A Congressional Research Service, CRS, report found that the Department of Defense paid Solazyme $149 per gallon for fuel made of algae oil, costing taxpayers a total of $223,500 in 2009. The group also received a $21 million stimulus grant from the Department of Energy in 2009. So based in South San Francisco, so I'm sure San Fran Nan and Feinstein and Babs got their grease job too, because they might have been in with the $300,000 for the politicians. Their mission was to improve our lives and our planet by producing sustainable, high-performance oils and ingredients derived from microalgae. Remember, we told you about that too. They were seeding it. They were seeding the algae up in the Great Lakes. It was running down the river, the Mississippi and the Missouri rivers, into the Gulf of Mexico, where the deposits and all the food and sediment that they needed to grow this algae ends up settling. So right there at the mouth of the Mississippi in the Gulf of Mexico, NASA and Solazyme and a whole bunch of people had algae farms there. As a matter of fact, they even stopped drilling oil in the Gulf so that they could grow the algae farms. That BP oil spill was a blessing. Or was it? It might have been a tactic. But that even brought billions and billions of dollars that they, got to use. And what's his name? Maybe his name was Feinberg, too. He was the EPA head at the time. He got to dole out the billions of dollars that came from BP. And he didn't give it to anybody who suffered any losses on the Gulf. He gave it to organizations and community grants and health programs. So that money was just a shakedown to BP, too. Every single one of those green loans and grants went to a crony, and politicians got kickbacks. I could see if it was only one or two, okay, that was a fluke. But every single one, we investigated them, we wrote about them, we reported on them. And that guy, Schweitzer, he even wrote a book about it. As a matter of fact, I talked to Breitbart the day before he died, and that's exactly the subject we were talking about. That was before Schweitzer's book came out. It's just, it's really bad. And then you got the EPA. There's a major spill in
Environmental Pollution Agency.
Yep. And they said, it was all a mistake, and it was an accident and a miscalculation. That is a bunch of BS. A man who was a retired engineer, a big shot, too, even, puts his reputation on the line over this. He wrote a letter to an editor in the newspaper telling them exactly what was going to happen and what kind of money they were going to get because it happened. So there was this super fund that was coming out. And this super fund, they wanted some money from that for Colorado. So what happened was they let this spill go. As a matter of fact, let me read you some of the letter. It says, I came to Silverton this summer to enjoy retirement, appreciate nature, and prospect the mountains for unique minerals. This is really hard for me to read here. It says, based on my 47 years of experience as a professional geologist, it appeared to me that the EPA is setting our town and the rest of the area up for possible Superfund blitzkrieg. It goes on about how the amounts of pressure in the water and the buildup and how long it's going to take for that to happen. He was right on the money. He also talks about the funds that are available, and he says it's going to be like $2 billion they're going to get because that happened. So they needed the money. That's why that spill happened. It's toxic. The Navajo Indians are the only ones that have the standing to sue them, too, because it went through and affected their sovereign land. The EPA decided that they weren't going to fine themselves for it. So that's out of the question. They're not in any trouble with themselves. And as a matter of fact, the EPA head is on her way over to Colorado today to check it out. But that letter detailed verbatim how the EPA officials would foul up the Animas River on purpose in order to secure Superfund money. If the Gold King mine was declared a Superfund site, it would essentially kill future development for the mining industry in the area, too. So not only did they kill the mine, but they're getting a couple of $1 billion for it.
Yeah.
And, the EPA was vehemently opposed to the mining anyhow. So it killed two birds with one stone. They got a whole bunch of money and they got rid of the mine. And they didn't give a damn what they polluted or how many fish in that river got killed or how many people along the riverbanks are going to have lasting health effects from the pollutants they let go. No, it was all about the money and all about the agenda. They don't like mining in America. And we tell everybody that the climate czar in the UN said that America's not going to be happy because we're going to have to leave all these fossil fuels and stuff in the ground. So that gives the developing countries a chance to mine and drill theirs. So they're going to put America out of business. And there you go. Right in front of your face, they polluted a very large river, a whole bunch of land, and now they're not going to be able to, now they're not going to reissue any mine permit. There you go.
Oh,
and they
get
paid for it.
They create the problem, wait for a reaction, run in with a solution, and rake in billions for it.
Yes, and
it's
they
all
reached in your pocket.
For them. Yeah.
You paid for it.
Yeah, and get you to pay for it.
Yep, you paid for it. Our colleague Kelly wrote a little thing about the EPA water rules today, too. And she did this perfectly, so I'd like to share this with you. It says, recently leaked memos from the Army Corps of Engineers and a dozen lawsuits show federal and state officials remain concerned about a new water rule from the Environmental Protection Agency. The Clean Water Rule, formerly known as Waters of the U.S., is set to take effect August 28th. Numerous groups are fearful the ambiguous language used in the rule will allow the EPA to regulate most private property in the United States. On July 30th, the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee released documents from Corps officials dated April 27th that state the draft rule had a fatal problem that would make it difficult to implement and defend in court. EPA Administrator Gina McCarthy told the committee her agency had already addressed the Corps' concerns. Still, Don Parrish of the American Farm Bureau Federation said the Corps raised substantial concerns about what the EPA was doing with the rule. Corps officials were so upset they wanted their name taken off the process, said Parrish. AFBF Senior Director of Regulatory Relations. That's extremely telling, and it also indicates that decisions were being made at a very high level politically. AFBF recently released a study showing projected regulated areas under the new rules in 3 states. In Pennsylvania and Montana, 99% of land and water could be considered waters of the USA, while in Virginia, 100% of the state could be classified as water. You get that?
Yep.
If you're standing on dirt, what part of it is water? Oh, when the rain comes, there'll be water there. So now it's under the EPA rule. So not only did they tax the rain, they've seized the rain. They own it now.
They own everything. You know,
100% of the state is declared water. When you look at the map of the state, if you look at the topography, if you look at it from the space station, you can tell the difference between water and land. Maybe politicians can't tell the difference, but most normal people can. Guys, you just lost the whole country under the guise of a water rule. A rule that was made up. A rule that was made up by non-legislative administrators. They're not even legislators. Who are they to make these laws? And then to redefine the whole state of Virginia as water? What are you all, boat people? The Delta smelts. You all know California's in a drought, right? They've washed trillions of gallons of water into the ocean. They've diverted water from the Central Valley, Joaquin Valley, and, since 1993 because of this Delta smelt. There's only 9 of them. All 9 of them could fit in your hand at the same time. That's how tiny these fish are. Well, the fish biologist at the University of California, Davis, told the Fresno Bee the Delta smelt is basically on its last legs right now, and we'll be lucky if it survives the coming year. Everything they did was the wrong thing to do. The fish, it was not native to the area. So now they got this big idea and $10 million from a federal grant. They didn't need $10 million. What they're going to do is now they're going to breed them in captivity. How many times did we say, scoop up those little Delta smelts and put them in a fish tank? They got $10 million to do that. You could have bought a 55-gallon fish tank for a couple of $100. For 9 fish, as big as guppies?
I know.
They're not even as big as a goldfish.
They just use that for a reason, just like they do everything else.
$10 million for a fish tank?
Just used it for a reason. And that's what the EPA is there for, to make up anything stupid they want to. Hey, you got a endangered insect on your lawn. We're going to have to take your property for intimate domain and turn that into a,
The EPA. They just released 3 million gallons of toxic waste into the Colorado River over the weekend.
Nice.
Turned it orange. It's polluted. They said that they thought that they had a shelf in there and the water wasn't going to go over the shelf, and ended up that it was 12 feet deeper than they thought it was going to be, and 3 million gallons of toxic waste released into the Colorado River. It was mine waste. What the hell was it doing anywhere near the Colorado River to be emptied in there? Well, we're out of time now. We've got to say goodnight, everybody.
All right. Good night, everybody.
All right, guys. Sorry for the short closing, but it's all the time we have for today, and we hope you enjoyed our show. We want to thank everybody who was listening, all of you who called in. I see you on the switchboard.